Ready to ditch the busyness of this world and just focus on being present with your kids? This is the main thing I hear from moms. They wish they had more time to enjoy their family, not to feel rushed from going place to place to place or overwhelmed by the amount of things on their to-do list. Today, we're going to look at the recipe for how to be a present mom. And if you're looking for some done-for-you ways to be present with your kids each day, then check out my Daily Dose of Presence activity bundle linked in the description below. Let's define what being present means. It's being fully engaged in the moment without distraction or mental absence. It's being aware of what's happening right now and not just focusing all the time on the past or the future. Now, notice I said in the moment, which could be minutes or hours, but it's not hours by default. I think that we as moms can get lost in the idea that being present is literally spending hours, like 4 hours of just staring into your kids' eyes and not doing anything except looking at them. But that's not the case at all. It's spending intentional time in the here and now and not letting distractions steal those oh so precious moments. Distractions, mental absence, and thinking about the past or the future are what keeps us from this. We're in another world when our kids are talking to us, or we're so busy doing tasks that we tell our kids, let mommy just finish this one thing indefinitely. I'm sure we can all think immediately to a time where we were trying to be present with our kids, but instead of actually throwing that football, we were thinking about how we needed to go and reorganize the pantry and mop the floors because it rained earlier that day. In order to clear out this mental clutter and anxiety, we first need to plan. Planning allows for us to have an idea of what's coming next in our day, helping to reduce the anxiety of the task we have to get done and past or future thoughts. This takes the guesswork out of our day and allows us to schedule in that present time. For those of you thinking, well, that's no fun, I think that takes all the wonder out of it if it's planned. I assure you, I would rather take the time to schedule it in than to not do it at all, because my kids are too important to miss out on that. Plan out your day and plan in time to not be distracted and to focus on your kids. Once you have the planning down, routines are up next to help start making this second nature. Routines help automate what's going on in your day so that you and your kids can anticipate what's coming next. The more we can automate, the more we can free up brain power to focus on what's important. For instance, having a great morning routine can help reduce the chaos of the day, where maybe you were normally yelling at the kids, rushing to get everybody out the door, and instead help you have a calm morning routine where you greet your kids and give them a big hug and look them in the eyes and speak life into their day. Presence can be built into your routines, such as asking an intentional question while you're giving them a hug when they come home from school, or reading them a story during their bedtime routine. Next up is setting boundaries. And this goes back to the idea that we need to spend hours every day being present to be a really good mom. This is not true, and it's probably not feasible for most of us anyway to spend 4 hours of every single day just focusing on one kid at a time. It's important to set boundaries for our work, our tasks, and what being present looks like in our home. When we hear our kids ask us to throw the football with them, what really goes in our minds is we hear, "Hey mom, can you throw the football with me for 2 whole hours?" And our response is, "Not today, bud," or "I don't have time for that," because we really don't actually have 2 hours to spend just throwing the football with our kids. But in reality, we can actually commit to 15 minutes of throwing the football and instead telling our son and say, "Hey bud, yeah, I can do it for 15 minutes. Let me set a timer." Now, setting a timer and setting a time limit on what we're doing with our kids does not make us a bad parent. All our kids want is our undivided attention, just for a few minutes where they know that they are more important than our phones, our work, or our tasks. They want to know that we are fully focused on them and not distracted by other things going on in our day. Because otherwise, they start to see that we care more about mopping the floor or about doing our work than actually spending time and building a relationship with them. You can also, by planning out your day, see where you have more blocks of time to actually be present. So normally you're not going to be present at all parts of the day, but there might be times like maybe right after you get home from work or maybe in the morning that's a big chunk of time that you can really devote to just focusing and being present with your kids. I believe I saw Laura Whiffler from Risen Motherhood refer to these specific time blocks as be available blocks, which I love because you don't schedule anything in there. It's just literally 30 minutes, an hour of just be available. So if somebody wants you to come throw the football, you've got that time blocked off. If somebody wants to come and read a few books with you, you've got that time blocked off to be available and be present. Next, we want to limit distractions, and this can tie into our boundaries as well. For instance, maybe you only check your phone at certain times of day instead of every time it dings. Or instead of watching 5 hours of a TV show and getting frustrated with your kids because they keep coming in and interrupting your show, maybe you only spend 1 hour of watching TV the same time that your kids are watching TV. Know what distractions are most enticing for you. Is it your phone? Is it the TV? Is it working? Maybe it's just checking things off of your to-do list, or that you go out every night and hang out with your friends. What do you find yourself wanting to do more than being present with your kids? And if you're not really sure, ask your kids. They'll tell you straight up. They will be brutally honest. But I also want you to be honest with yourself. Don't try and hide it. Don't try and be like, well, I don't really have a problem with my phone. I only check it every once in a while. But is that really, really true? Be honest. I know it sounds awful, like why would I want to be on my phone more than I give my kids undivided attention? But once you determine your own distractions and the things that really keep you from being present, you can be sure to leave that behind when you go and hang out with your kids. So for me, a lot of times it's my phone. And so I can make a conscious, intentional effort to leave my phone in the house when I go outside to throw the football with my kid for 15 minutes. The last thing is mindset. We have to have the right mindset to truly focus on being present. It's easy for our minds to wander or to trick us into thinking that mopping is way more important than spending 15 minutes throwing the football with our kid outside. Now, sometimes those tasks need to happen in that moment and you have to say no to your kid, but a lot of times we say no because we think those other issues are more pressing when really they're not. At the end of the day, what's going to matter 20 years from now? Is it going to be that your kids remembered that you mop the floor every day? Or do you want them to remember that you went outside and threw the football with them more often than not? And if it's really hard for you, if you're still struggling with the distractions and the planning and really focusing on that intentional time, go back to your why. Why did you have a family and what do you want for your family? Shifting into being present is a difficult task. Believe me, I know. Every day it seems like a battle to push off the ways of the world and to go back to my why, which is why starting small is the key to making this a consistent change in your life. To help you do that, I've created Daily Dose of Presence, which is a year's worth of activities that you can do each day with your kids that are quick, simple, and virtually no prep. You can check off each day to see visually that you are making progress to spending intentional time every single day with your kids. It's linked in the description below. See you next time.